What's going on, everyone? Darkside Phil here, and welcome to episode 18 of Ask the King. This is the November 24th, 2011 episode, the Thanksgiving episode, Thanksgiving 2011. And, wow, how far we've come, huh? A year ago, on Thanksgiving, I don't remember if I did an Ask the King per se, but I definitely remember I did a Thanksgiving episode, special video, being thankful that it looked like my YouTube stint was going to work out, at least in the short term. And now here we are a year later, and wow, how things have changed, how things have grown, and stuff's going swimmingly. So, anyway, first of all, I apologize that last month there was no Ask the King. As I fully expected was going to end up happening, this hardcore gaming season, this last couple months of the year have been so jam-packed with games that I find myself not having a lot of time to do a lot of things. And doing Ask the King, as I've said several times before, takes a very long time. Between gathering questions, reading all the questions on my website, thekingofhate.com, sorting out the ones that I want to answer, and then going on Twitter, actually having people submit questions to me on Twitter and answering those questions, then actual filming, which I'm doing right now, and then the actual editing and then uploading. It takes several hours, probably 3 to 4 hours to get one episode of Ask the King out. So last month I got backed up. This month I said I'm going to definitely do it. Next month for December I'm definitely going to try to do it again for a year-end special episode. That'll be on December 29th. And that thread is already up on thekingofhate.com for you to submit questions for. Okay? So before we even get started, what I want to say is two quick things. First of all, John Rambo has a special episode of his podcast, The Show, up on his channel, John Rambo Presents, on YouTube. That's live right now. And actually, I was the special guest on that show this week. We talked all about Black Friday, the Black Friday sales, our experiences working retail on Black Friday. It's a pretty funny show, in my opinion, and it's also pretty informative if you're maybe looking to get some deals on Black Friday. You want to know where the best ones are, but then you also get our opinions on whether or not you should even bother doing that. Okay, so check that out. The other thing, and this is a common question actually that was asked, so let's get it out of the way right now. A lot of people want an update on these two bills that are currently in the U.S. government, one in the House of Representatives and one in Congress. One in the Senate and one, whatever, I'm getting it all confused in my head. But in the two different governing bodies of the country, each is a bill, okay? One's called the Protect IP Act, one's called the Stop Online Piracy Act. They're both very similar. One's a little bit more crazy than the other's, trying to put people like me in jail for putting videos on YouTube of either karaoke or video game content playthroughs because they're not clear whether or not they're protected under the fair use law. And so these bills are crazy, okay? They're trying to censor the internet, and they're absolutely too broad, ridiculously worded. They're being pushed by the Motion Picture Association of America as well as some other bodies to try to basically protect their own special interests, and they do not have the interests of any business that's ever been formed on the internet in mind at all. They just don't care. They only care about themselves. And a lot of people have been asking me, Phil, we want updates on these bills, because I have done videos previously about these bills. There is news, but what I'm going to do is on Saturday I'm actually attending a fighting game tournament at Gaming Etc., which is a gaming center here in Connecticut. I'm going to be there all day, so instead of having a day with no videos at all, before I leave on Saturday, I'm going to put up an important video about an update on these bills, what's going on with both of them, and how you can help, because there are some new developments, some new things that we can do to organize opposition to these ridiculous bills. And I think that this weekend, since it's going to be a weekend where everyone's probably at home on the internet or shopping, this is a good opportunity for us to organize and to fight back against these bills. So look for that on Saturday on DSPGaming, okay? Now, I've already wasted like 5 minutes, haven't answered a damn question, and boy do I have a lot of questions to answer this time, because it's now been 2 months. I would like to say lots of good questions this time. Thank you very much to everyone who submitted one. I thought a lot of these were intelligent, a lot of these were a little bit more interesting than maybe some previous Ask the King, so let's get right into them. Okay, first question is, hey DSP, why did you pick the name Darkside Phil? And also, when you're not playing games, what do you do? And that's from Balls to You 1000. A lot of people have asked me about my name, Darkside Phil, before, and if it has any significance or anything like that. To be completely honest, it really doesn't. Back in I think it was like the late 90s, when I was first starting to majorly get into the internet and the competitive Street Fighter community. A lot of people were going by like nicknames back then online, and I really didn't have one. And I was like, I gotta make something up here. And I wanted something that was catchy, but I also wanted something that could be said quickly. And so Darkside Phil actually came out of a stupid song. There was like some band back then, I can't even remember what the fuck the name of the band was. And they were really bad, but like it was a song that was popular on the radio. It was called like Darkside or whatever, but it wasn't with an I don't think it was with a Y. And so I said, oh, Darkside Phil. Well, if you said that, it's kind of cool because it kind of seems like it's alluding to Star Wars, but it's really not. And it's a darker name. And also, you could, for short, you could see DSP. It would be like a quick thing someone could say. So I thought that was a cool name. Really, there's nothing more than that behind the name. It's not anything crazy or any kind of cool inside story. The second half of the question, when you're not playing games, what are you doing? Well, I'm pissing, I'm shitting, I'm eating, I'm bathing, I'm breathing. But more seriously, he's probably wondering what other kinds of things am I into besides gaming. TV and movies. I watch some TV. I usually TiVo a lot of different shows. And when I say TiVo, I don't have a TiVo. I have a DVR through my cable company. Lots of different stuff. Some dramas like CSI, House, Bones. I'm really not into sitcoms or anything like that too much. The only comedy shows that I record are like the Fox cartoons on Sunday night, and also Robot Chicken on Adult Swim. I record that. I'm into some different things. I actually like watching a lot of these stupid talent shows just because I like to see how stupid these people are, but also how ridiculous America is. Like the #1 show on TV, is it some cool, cool thriller, or is it a cool mystery sci-fi show? No, it's America's Got Talent. And you're like, what the fuck? So I do watch that from time to time, stuff like that. So I'm in the know about pop culture and such, which is actually interesting because when you're in the know about pop culture, you can reference it in my video game playthroughs and stuff like that. So it's important to be up on that stuff. And also some thriller sci-fi shows like Fringe and other stuff like that. So there's a lot of variety of stuff that I watch, that I record. Oh, and of course, anything that Gordon Ramsay is in. I think he's fucking very entertaining, very smart, hilarious. I love watching all his shows like Hell's Kitchen, Kitchen Nightmares, and stuff like that. Okay, next question. Hey Phil, on part 38 of your Gears of War 3 co-op playthrough, I heard both you and John complaining about random people joining your games and that's disrespectful. Could you please give a more in-depth opinion about this, as I found it rather interesting. Not only that, but it will also inform people that didn't watch your Gears 3 playthrough and give them an understanding on this matter. And that's from DX Michael. Okay, what he's talking about is during John Rambo and I's co-op playthrough of Gears of War 3. Now that game has full 4-player co-op, but we were only playing it with 3 players. It was John Rambo and I, and then our friend Joe playing online. Well, someone thought they brought it upon themselves to randomly jump into this game and start playing with us. Now, it would be one thing if it was a mistake, and I could see that maybe someone accidentally was doing online matchmaking and searched the game and found it and joined it by accident. But what we found out was that this guy was a fan of mine who sent me a friend request on Xbox Live, which I told everyone not to do. But regardless, he had already done that, sent a friend request on Xbox Live. Then through the friend request, and this is a fault of Xbox Live in my opinion, if you send anyone a friend request, you are then able to view their online profile and see what game they're playing, and if they're playing a joinable game, you can join the game through that system. And I completely disagree with that. I think there should be some privacy factor. Like, just because you sent me a friend request, why do you get to see everything I'm doing on Xbox Live? I don't like that at all. So, basically, this guy sent me a friend request, saw we were playing the game co-op, and joins the game. Just taking it upon himself, oh, I'll just join Phil's game without asking, without anything, I'll just do it. Now, the reason this really pissed us off is because previously I had announced in my weekend preview videos and my other videos where we talk about, what games I'm going to be playing, that we would be doing a 3-player co-op of Gears of War 3. And never did we ever say, hey, it's okay, by the way, any fan that wants to join in can just join the game and join the playthrough, okay? It's not fair. It's selfish is what it is. It's someone who, you're so overcome with, oh my god, it's DSP, he's an internet guy, let me jump in just because I can, trying to get yourself, number one, trying to get yourself in the video. Number one, that's probably what it was about. Oh, I'm going to get in his video by doing this. And number two, you know, just being so starstruck that you want to play with me. I mean, I do fan appreciation with the fans. I have set times when I do this kind of stuff, and it's unfair for someone to take it upon themselves to just try to jump into our game. Now, that being said, yeah, there was the ability for us to make the game private, but we had no idea how to do that. Remember, it was day one, the game had just come out, we were fucking around with it, and we had just gotten the game. It was actually hard for us to even get the game started and working. We were having some problems doing that. So we didn't know, per se, we weren't in the know enough of this game to know, oh gee, you have to have to do some private settings so that a random person can't join the game. That being said, no one else on the entire internet joined the game. You know what I mean? It was pretty much this one guy who was so pretentious of himself. Let me jump into DSP's game. I'll be in his video. Ha ha ha. This will be cool. And takes it upon himself to do that. And it's selfish. And it's not right, because I'm sure there were thousands of other people who wanted to play with us, and they were respectful enough not to jump into our playthrough per se and take it upon themselves to do that. They knew that we just wanted to do a 3-player playthrough with our friends, and we're not accepting any random people to join. So that's really where we were coming from when we kind of went on a mini rant there about it. And yeah, maybe, you know, in the spur of the moment, maybe we came off a little bit harsh, but you gotta be harsh, because if you're not, then people get the wrong idea. You can't let yourself get stepped all over. And when we're doing our own thing, our own playthroughs, our own co-op, unless we announce that we're taking people publicly to join, do not attempt to join, okay? That's that. Next question. I'm timing this, so let me take a look here. I'm taking too long. Let me speed through some of these. Alright, next question. Phil, when you lost your job, you decided to pursue YouTube as your job, and so far it's been great. But what if your life was featured in Marvel Comics' What If series? And this is the Bizarro World question. So, what if you had decided not to pursue YouTube as your job? What would have happened, and what would you have done? Would you have taken up some measly part-time job at McDonald's, or would you move back in with your folks? Would you have prostituted out your body? Lol. And that question's from Bart Flyer. Well, of course, I probably would have had to turn a couple tricks to keep it ends together. But it really was a very alarming thing when I lost my job, because just a year prior I had bought this condo, and this condo was a large responsibility, a very large payment every month. The fact that actually there was a special program with the U.S. government for a first-time home buyer that you got a tax break. So I actually got a very big tax break for 2009's taxes because I had bought this condo. And there's actually a byline in that tax break that says, well, we're going to give you this tax break, but you have to be living in your condo for 2 full years after the date of purchase in order to get this tax break. If you move out or you start renting or sell or anything like that, you have to give us the money back. So obviously I didn't have this money just lying around. It was money that I had spent, or money that when I got it back, you know, it had gone to bills and such. And so now I was even more worried. I said, man, what if I can't afford this condo anymore and I have to start renting it out or I have to sell it? Now all of a sudden now I have to find another several $1,000s to pay back the U.S. government, all because my job basically fucked me and laid me off. So there were a lot of really startling concerns about how I was going to support myself when I lost my full-time job. Now, I considered a couple things. I thought, you know, I did have enough money to go along for a few months. It wasn't like I was one of these people who has $0 in the bank. I did have some money saved up, at least enough to take me into 2011. So I said, well, I could take this time to maybe start looking around for jobs. And actually I did, just so everyone knows, I did actually look around for jobs in the job market. And the bottom line is, there are no jobs in my field hiring in the state of Connecticut. They don't exist. The economy is awful right now in America. No matter what anyone tells you, no matter what the media says, no matter what your lawmakers say, the government, they're full of shit. The economy is shit right now in America. There's no recovery going on. There are no new jobs. The only new jobs that are appearing are literally, like he mentioned, fast food level jobs, minimum wage, flipping burgers. Guess what? You cannot afford to own anything, including a car or a place to live like this condo, on that kind of salary. Or not even salary, that's hourly wages, and you would have to work multiple jobs. So realistically, one of two things would have happened. Either I would have gotten really lucky and I would have found another job in my field, which, by the way, for the 4 months, like I said, that I was searching, there was nothing that came up. Or I might have had to find a job that, like, paid dramatically less and then actually work multiple jobs. Like maybe work one job that paid half as much as what I was making at my former job, and then have to work another job part-time around that one to try to make ends meet, and stuff would have been really tight. It would have been a nightmare. You know, especially with my back, a lot of these jobs that are available, these retail jobs, you have to stand all day, and I can't do that anymore because my back is messed up. You know, I did do that. I worked fast food for 5 years, all through high school and my first year of college. I worked at Circus City and Best Buy selling stuff retail for several years. I've done the job that's not a 9-to-5 office job. I've done those grueling hours. I've done the stand all day. And I can't do it anymore because my back is messed up. So I really don't know what I would have done. And I know that's kind of scary, but that's it. That's the truth. The bottom line is there really is nothing going on in America right now. It sucks. In the United States, the economy's horrible. The job market sucks. That's why you're seeing giant protests outside of Wall Street. Do you really think people would be organizing nationwide protests if the economy was doing well and everyone could get a job? I don't think so. So let's wise up here and not believe what the media and the government are telling you. It's horrible out there. Now, all that being said, I actually do have an aunt who her family owns a car dealership, and later on, like actually I found this out a couple of months into 2011, I actually, I don't really talk to her that much, but she talked to my parents, and she said, you know, how's Phil doing? And they said, well, actually it looks like Phil's, you know, YouTube thing might work out. And she said, well, okay, well, if anything does go wrong, I wouldn't not consider, you know, hiring him for the car dealership to maybe do a job like that as like a backup. And no, probably wouldn't pay as much as the job I was making, but at least it was something to fall back on if this YouTube thing didn't work out. So I was very grateful for that, and it's nice to know that if anything ever does go wrong, that at least there's something I can fall back on. Not that it's something that I want to do. Again, car dealership job, you have to stand all day. You're on the lot all day. I can't do that. My back's fucked up, but it's at least something. Okay, next question. Hey Phil, old buddy, old pal, would you consider doing another Christmas tree setup video this year? Like the one from last year. It was really cool and funny. And that's from Words of Truth. Excellent that you brought that up, because I will be trying to do one coming this next week, actually. This next week, no new games are being released. Not to say that I don't have any games to play. I still have Zelda, Skyrim, other stuff to go back to. But I have the ability to ease up a little bit, and I'm going to try to set up a Christmas tree this coming week, some point. Alright, next question. Dear Phil, in your very early playthroughs, like Fallout 3 and Fable 2, your voice sounded very different than how it sounds now in your videos. Is this from you becoming older, or is it because the camera has a different sound quality? This question's kind of bothering me, and I'd like you to answer it. This is from CyberFroggy55. The answer here is, it is the camera. Back then I was using a camera that really wasn't even made to do a lot of video. It only had mono sound, meaning only one channel of sound. Didn't have full stereo sound like the camera I'm using right now. And I think what this made happen, it made my voice sound different, and it also made things sound a little bit louder. Now with my videos, you hear a little bit more, like you can hear more going on, but maybe the volume might be a little bit lower because it's a little bit more isolated, my voice contrasting with the TV, because it's actually higher quality sound in my videos right now. So it was funny because a lot of people complained when I first switched cameras, oh, the sound sounds shitty, it doesn't sound as good. No, the sound was actually better. It's higher quality sound, just that people have been accustomed to the old, crappier quality sound, and for a lot of people, you know, when you like something and then it changes, you're afraid of change. You're afraid that things are getting worse. In my opinion, I think the sound sounds a lot better right now. Alright, next question. Hey Phil, have any of your neighbors ever wondered if you suffer from schizophrenia with all the talking that you do to a camera, or do they know you record for YouTube? Thanks up and keep up the great work, Delta Team 210. Interesting question, and the reason it's interesting is a lot of people ask me things like this, especially when I get loud in a lot of my videos. Phil, you know, don't your neighbors ever complain? You know, what's going on? Don't they think when you're yelling and screaming at the top of your lungs or you're swearing, don't they ever say anything? The bottom line is this. Number one, no one thinks that I'm schizophrenic, because no one knows my business. No one knows who I live with. No one knows if I'm on the phone, if I'm recording. No one knows any of this. So to them, they could give a shit, you know? This condo that I live in is very private, let's put it that way. Pretty much everyone keeps to themselves. I know my neighbor on one side. I don't even know my neighbors on the other side who moved in a couple months ago. They never introduced themselves. Everyone pretty much just does their own thing, and there's very few complaints from anyone. As long as, you know, there's no major problems going on, everyone it keeps to themselves. And I like that because it allows me to do what I'm doing. And, you know, sometimes you might think, oh, it might be a little bit a little bit sad, because isn't it nice to have a neighbor who you can talk to and borrow sugar from, and, you know, all those neighborly things that you seem to see on TV and such. And in real life, it really isn't like that very much. Pretty much people like to keep to themselves, at least in this area of the country, from what I've found. And, you know, you might know who your neighbors, but you're not going to hang out with them. You're not going to get in their business. And it's the same thing here. Like, my next door neighbors sometimes make noise. I don't complain. And I'm sure I make noise and no one complains to me. Luckily for me, underneath me is the basement. There's no one living under me. So when I play games like Connect or whatever and I'm stomping around, no one hears that, you know? So I guess in one respect, I'm lucky that I'm on the ground floor. But no, I don't get sound complaints, and everyone here stays to themselves, and it's not an issue. Next question. Hey Phil, do you still watch James Rolfe and Doug Walker's videos? That's from Single Cell 55. If you don't know who they are, James Rolfe is the angry video game nerd. Doug Walker is the nostalgia critic, or that guy with the glasses. I used to watch their videos a lot. In fact, I had mentioned previously that these guys had kind of been a little bit of an inspiration to me, especially the angry video game nerd, seeing that some guy could just kind of go off on games and on the internet, and people loved it. I loved how vulgar he was, but also how honest he was about his feelings about these games. And yeah, you know, seeing them be able to succeed at what they do, making videos primarily for the internet and being able to support themselves with it, kind of inspired me to do a lot of the stuff that I do on YouTube. Not to say that I'm copying them. I don't do anything similar to what they do. They do more review-style parody, heavy editing videos. I do on-the-fly live game playthroughs, completely different. And then I actually review the games seriously, which they don't do. So, completely different subject matter, completely different style of video. But do I watch their videos still? I have to admit, unfortunately, no, I don't. I don't have time anymore to sit around watching videos. When I do have free time, like I said, I do record a lot of television, and I watch that when I'm relaxing. I used to actually watch their videos at times, like in the morning when I was eating breakfast before I went to work. I would watch one, or when I was on my lunch break or something like that. And I don't have that anymore. I don't have that luxury because I have my own schedule now. I film or whatever. Every once in a while, I do at least check in. Like, I did actually see one of the Nostalgia Critics videos about a month or two ago when I had a couple minutes. I was eating a Subway sandwich. Yeah, I know, how funny is that I talk about Subway as a parody, and I was actually eating a Subway sandwich that day. But, and I watched it, and it was still funny. It's like, the guy's doing well, and I'm happy for him. Happy that, you know, he was able to succeed on Blip TV where I wasn't because of fucking trolls that got me kicked off the website. I guess he doesn't have as many trolls as me, and that's a good thing. You know why? Because he didn't spend a lot of time on YouTube, so I understand why he didn't build up enough trolls. But yeah, I don't. Unfortunately, I know they still put out stuff. I know it's still good, but I just don't have time to watch their stuff anymore. I'm too busy with my own stuff. All right, I probably have enough time to answer one more question here, and then we're going to move on. Well, then we're going to do part 2, obviously, because this is going to be a giant episode having so many questions saved up. Alright, next question. Now that the Team Fortress 2 server is gone, and if you don't know what this guy's talking about, I had a Team Fortress 2 server that I paid for several months for my fans and myself to play Team Fortress 2 back when I got my gaming PC earlier this year. Unfortunately, after the first weekend of me playing on this server, I had no more time to play it. I was just bogged down with so many releases, so much stuff going on, that I just didn't have time to play it anymore, and eventually people stopped playing it, and I shut it down. Now, here's this question. The question is, would you ever consider buying another server for another Fan Appreciation Week in 2012? FYI, the real reason why your server didn't carry its weight is because Valve themselves kept updating the game every single time. And, Valve kept updating Team Fortress 2 several times during the year, and every time that they do that, it locks you out of the server until the server itself is restarted or updated. Hence, we couldn't keep a good community of players on there long enough to support that server because I wasn't actively restarting these updates. In fact, I didn't even understand any of that. I actually had one of my mods from the website was doing it, but it was just really time-consuming and frustrating to constantly keep updating the server over and over. And eventually, I just stopped. You know, it just fell off. No one was playing the game anymore. Would I consider getting another server? Only if there were a game where I knew I could dedicate enough time to play it over a long period of time with my fans. At this point, with a lot of stuff that's going on, with all the new releases that are going to be coming out in 2012, some huge blockbusters of games that got pushed out of 2011 into 2012, projects that I'm working on right now, some things outside of just video game playthroughs that I have ideas for and I'm working on. The fact that we're going to try to travel more and cover more gaming events such as MagFest, possibly PAX East, other gaming conventions and things going on. I can't promise that I'm ever going to be able to set up another server, but that's not a definite no. We'll see. Alright, so that's all I'm going to have time for part 1. I have lots more questions left. In fact, I actually did a focus on Twitter this time and answered a lot more Twitter questions, and there's my timer right now telling me that I'm out of time. I am going to be back with part 2, and in part 2 we will answer a lot more questions, and we'll go from there. So stay tuned, I'll be right back.